streaming giant Netflix has released a report on the socioeconomic impact of its foray into Africa. The report focuses mainly on Nigeria, Kenya, and South Africa. Fisayo Durojaye, general partner with Ancestors Advisory, joins us to discuss further. Fisayo, good morning to you. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Rotis. Thanks for having me.
Is this a public relations play from Netflix? What do you make of this report?
I mean, it's interesting and refreshing to see, actually, to see after maybe a couple of years in Africa already. I don't know, maybe 10 years or
2016 is around when they came in.
Yeah. So, just to see the report and the impact of what their work has been in Africa, I think is refreshing to see. I mean, I think one part of the report that I saw, of course, is not probably in what we're discussing today.
Yeah.
Was that part that talked about, the ecosystem around movie production. And I kept on reading like, there's logistics, there's food and beverage, just many things insurance and finance. Many things come together, to ensure that a movie is done and completed. I mean,
and all these people get paid.
All these people get paid.
Right.
So the effect of just a blockbuster movie or some movie that is topping the chart, the sheer number of resources that came together to ensure that movie was produced is a lot. People see just the celebrity status of the producer, the directors, or the actors, or the cast and crew, but much more behind that is such a huge industry.
And there's an economic impact.
Oh, definitely. Because everyone benefits, on the long run. So from the food vendors, to the insurance providers, to logistics, moving your cameras, from one part to the other, to the handlers of those, just to PR and public relations of officials, just many people working behind the scenes to ensure that, yes, we get our best movies out. It's such incredible industry. There's
a snapshot here where they talked about, I think they spent so far $175 million on content. What was through? So there it is, from 2016 through 2022, we've invested. What do you make of this amount so far? You think they'll spend more, or because The Gray Man, which is just one film.
Exactly. I was going to.
Okay, go ahead. Tell everybody. Let some people know.
So, I mean, there are movies that, in their production alone, cost hundreds of millions of dollars.
Exactly. So this
already.
Is The Gray Man cost $200 million.
$200 million, right? So, but if you spend, $176 million across 3 countries, it's not bad. Again, given the fact that so this is one thing about when we start talking about. Sorry, I'm going to bring some conversation to this.
Feel free.
Things around, say, equal pay for athletes.
Athletes. Okay.
So for instance, right. So when female footballers will say that they're doing the same job as the male footballers, and they're not earning the same amount, right? And then of course, data suggested that the FIFA Men's World Cup, generated, 100 times more than what the female World Cup is, and of course that reflected in the payment. So exactly is what I'm just using that analogy to drive down into here to say that, I mean, a big Hollywood movie can make hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of dollars in what's it called, in streaming revenues for Netflix. But for Africa, I mean, have to still figure out, how to ensure that people are not sharing their passport first, right? To ensure that, not one person pays for Ghana, because all the family members are watching. So what you earn from Africa is also a reflection of how much you're able to invest in the continent. So I don't think we all need to do better as a continent. I mean, this is the whole continent, not a country, right? We all need to do better as a continent. But I also think that it's a reflection of how much, on the long run, Netflix is able to earn or make. And of course, no doubt, the investment has been particularly rewarding because we've seen many great movies come out from those. I mean, I remember the very first one that was bought in Nigeria. I think it's Genevieve's.
She won. She was awarded. She got an award nomination for that. Yeah, I remember. I do know the movie you're talking about. Yeah,
Lionheart.
Yes,
that's the first one. And of course, from that time up to today, we've seen very, very, very better and improved movies over the years. So the $176 million is well spent. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I think because the quality of movies have improved generally, and I think it just gets better over the years.
Let's look at these 4 pillars. They put up 4 pillars of socioeconomic impact, and could these be confused with outcomes from a government or a federal, state, or local level? Because they look at it, they say increased skills, industry development, job security, international exposure. What do you make of that?
I mean, it's what it's what this industry has brought to bear.
Yeah.
It means that there are better script writing. That's improved skills. There are better cinematographers. There are better post-production, sound engineers, right? So see that improved skills. And of course, what happens is that it develops the entire industry. Once skill has improved, the entire industry benefits, to a large extent from that. And of course, because we have better equipped people, job security is to a large extent, more or less guaranteed. There's not guaranteed anyway, but
right.
to a large extent, is job is a lot more stable because people are better skilled, people can deliver better on their work. And of course, what that does is that the overall production or the overall quality of production, improves. That people then start looking at, movies made from Africa, like, okay, this is a very great movie because scripting is great, acting is solid because we've seen, better actors, even actors spending money to train themselves. I've seen many actors, I think there's one school in the UK that is
theater, performing arts and stuff like that.
That is the many of them are graduates or alumni of, right? So we've seen all of that improve. And then what then happens is that people start looking at Africa and say, okay, wow, this continent is bringing in so much. Because formerly, the only data we have about Nollywood is that, we are the ones that produce highest number of movies. But now, the quality is essentially improving. And I think that, we can remove that from...
I want to ask you about incentives. And there's in all of this is good news, but there's a message here, if we look at Netflix message on incentives, where... I want to get your thoughts on this. The current supports and incentives are still awaited. Said the current media production incentives are not enough to stimulate local and or foreign creative sector. So this is a message to government, is it not?
Yes, it's a message to everyone involved, right?
Yeah.
To governments. It's government that will create incentives. But again, it's also a reflection of overall macroeconomic conditions. I know that, I think, is it BOI or something that has some movie makers fund or something like that.
Creative fund,
That's a good step. Right. However, when I think we've seen NPR at 18%, or going towards that right now, because again we are fighting inflation of that. So it means that lending rates will go as high as that. And when all of those starts happening, right, it means that even lending to the creative sector becomes a lot more expensive, and I'm not sure you're able to earn a lot more. So there's still so much that needs to be done in incentivizing the creative sector for better acting. Especially in the financial services space, where actors and producers and directors and cinematographers and all the people involved in any movie have access to some funding, training, and equipment that can allow them produce better quality movies and get upskill themselves, to a large extent across board. And I think that those incentives are great. We've seen. Netflix in itself, investing in these things, and we've seen the ripple effects of that. The more investments that go into this space, the ripple effect is also going to be just to largely compounding, as it were. So that's one thing that I think I agree with Netflix on.
Great stuff. Fisayo Durojaye, General Partner, Ancestors Advisory. Thank you so much for joining us to talk about this report. It's impressive to see this type of investments coming into Africa. I appreciate your time.